On today's show, things go from bad to worse for the LA Clippers as we lose our third game in a row, but we did learn some things about this Clipper team, some good, some bad, and we got some takeaways from it. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, been a Clipper fan for 21 years, been covering the team on my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for 6 and 4 right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell on the road to 8,000 subscribers on YouTube before the end of the month. And of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com. Clipper Nation, 3 losses in a row. We knew this one was coming without Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Kawhi Leonard out with an ankle sprain, James Harden out for personal reasons. My assumption is it's the birth of another kid. We'll see if that's true. But if it's not, wishing James the best. We're going to be talking about how we lost this game in the third quarter, just given the story of this game. Also, some good things that we saw tonight, because there were some good things. And then the overall state of this team through 8 games. So Thursday night was an interesting game. We were the only game on the NBA schedule on tap. It was Bradley Beal's return to Phoenix, and as I expected, he got booed out of the building on every single touch, and Chris Paul got a nice little ovation. I thought it was a classic tale of two halves. The first half, I was actually very encouraged by what we were doing. I loved the fight. I thought we were really good. We were actually leading at halftime by a score of 51-48. So because that was the good stuff, I'm going to save some of that for the second segment. But in the third quarter, we just kind of fell apart. And we saw a little bit of that same kind of third quarter falling apart against the Miami Heat. We saw it against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We saw it against the Golden State Warriors. So it's definitely a thing in these first 8 games that 3 of these first 8 games, we have kind of fallen off a cliff in the third. So definitely something to pay attention to. However, Ty was asked about this after the game, and I actually kind of agreed with his explanation. And don't worry, for all the Ty Lue haters and the people that want me to slander him, I'll give him some criticism in the final segment. But he had a good point about the third quarter. A lot of it was just Phoenix making shots. And here's the reality of the modern NBA. When you have 2 solid on-ball creators like Jalen Green and Devin Booker, and Jalen Green had a hell of a debut. And if anyone's familiar with Jalen Green's game, you know that some nights he looks like a star and other nights he looks like a glorified chucker. And in this game, it was the former. He looked like a star. He was making plays left and right. We had a lot of trouble guarding him. He was making tough shots, even with a hand in his face. He had 29 points on 50% shooting, and he shot 6 for 13 from 3. I'll tell you what, Houston Rockets fans can tell you the same thing. If Jalen Green is shooting like that, it is hard to beat him. It's hard to beat a team when he's got help, and this is the key with Jalen Green now. He's the second best player on his team. So will he be like that consistently? Probably not. But I think a lot of his flaws are going to be, mitigated because he's playing alongside a better player than him by a significant amount in Devin Booker. So Phoenix might actually be better than some people think this season. I had them, 11th or something. I think I had them 12th maybe. I had my preseason predictions. I had them 12th. So we'll see how that ages. But Devin Booker and Grayson Allen, Devin Booker and Jalen Green, when you don't have switch 1 through 5 personnel, which we don't, unless we play John Collins at the 5, which we haven't really tried yet, they're going to create good shots in pick and roll. They are. It's just a matter of if their shooters are going to hit. And they were hitting in that third quarter. Royce O'Neal was making every single shot. We also weren't scoring, so it allowed them to get in more transition opportunities where we're, closing out hard. And, Jeff Van Gundy makes the defensive game plan, and we try not to fly by shooters. Like the best thing you want to do is close out and get a hand up, but not jump and fly by. Because if you jump and fly by on a pump fake, it's 5-on-4 on the backside, and a team can get a layup or a dunk off of that. So if you actually go back and watch some of those threes that were made, a lot of it was just good offense. It's not necessarily horrible defense, but if I had to pinpoint one thing, I think Derrick Jones Jr. could have done a better job getting over some screens. I think he got taken out on some screens and guys were just kind of walking into threes. But am I really gonna like say, oh, Derrick Jones Jr. cost us the game with his poor defense in the third quarter? No. And here's the funny part. It felt really hot for the Suns because they were like 8 for 8 to start the third quarter. They ended up outscoring us 40-23 in the third. So that completely changed the game, and we were done after that. But this is the reality. Our offense slowed down too. Like their offense like caught fire, but our offense really slowed down. It's a mix. They shot 54.5% from the field in the quarter and 44% from three, but it wasn't like they were 100% at one point. So they kind of cooled down a little bit. Like that's crazy shooting splits, but it's not abnormal for one quarter of NBA basketball in an NBA team, for an NBA team this year or in 2025. It's not. What is the perfect kind of shitstorm is they're shooting 54.5% from the field and 44% from three in the quarter, and we're shooting 37% from the field and 25% from three in the quarter and 5 turnovers committed. So when you mix those together, the Suns are going to win. And again, I think the defense, a lot of it wasn't even that horrible. Ivica Zubac also has not really been blocking shots at the rim yet this season, but let's wait a little bit longer when it comes to that. I think we need a little bit of a larger sample size, but he hasn't been intimidating shots at the rim the same way. However, our offense, as I said, cooled down. We were going to need a better Bradley Beal game in this one to win on the road without Kawhi and James. And Bradley Beal missed every shot. He was 2 for 14 from the field. He finally, I know he still played only 20 minutes. I thought he played more because he was so much more involved. But here's the thing about Brad. He was 2 for 14 and 1 for 5 from three, but he got a lot of shots that he is accustomed to hitting. So I'm honestly kind of happy with, like, not necessarily his performance, but like these are the kind of games that he's going to need to become the best version of himself. Like he's going to need a game where he's shooting 14 shots. He missed a bunch, but he was feeling more aggressive out there. And I think that's going to be good for the long haul. So I know what you're wondering. Dime, how can you not be pissed right now? Because we didn't have Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. It's going to be hard to win any game like that for our team. Like how many games did we not have James Harden and Kawhi last year? Very few. James Harden played 79 games. So, and plus, as I said, if James Harden wasn't going to play, we were going to need a better Chris Paul game. And Chris Paul actually looked okay in the first half. He actually looked okay, but we didn't even play him in the second half. So I'm going to go, that's going to be talked about in the third segment. But look, if you're going to, I think Clipper fans, and I was looking at my Twitter timeline on, again, I still don't have my Twitter, but on the Locked On Clippers Twitter, people are freaking out because we're 3-5 through 8 games. I just don't think this game is the one to freak out about at all. I think this game is just exacerbating the frustration of losing to Miami and losing to Utah on opening night. And when people were saying to me, when I was livid about the first game, you're so dramatic, you're freaking out. No, it's because I've been watching basketball for 21 years. I know that when you blow games like that, you're going to have situations where you have an unexpected absence from James Harden or Kawhi Leonard spraining his ankle, and you're going to lose games that you were supposed to win on the schedule before the season, like tonight, and it's going to be even worse if you lose the games you're supposed to win. So it doesn't matter when it comes. The fact of the matter is, when this season is over, no matter where we are, we're going to look back and say we lost to Miami at home without Tyler Hero, and we lost to the Jazz on opening night because we didn't give a damn, and we didn't come out prepared. So tonight is not the game to freak out about. We lost 115-102. If Bradley Beal had made more shots, we would have been actually in it, I think, but he didn't. It is what it is. He's going to come good, I think. I think this game is going to get him closer to that. But the reality is we needed him to make shots at a higher level to win this game. and it wasn't falling for him. But he was getting a lot of good looks that he normally makes, and I think that that's good to see that kind of aggression from him. But Jalen Green also played great. He's not always going to do that. He's not going to shoot 6 for 13 from 3, and those aren't all easy shots. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a good season. And I will acknowledge that they didn't have Dylan Brooks. They did not have Dylan Brooks, who matters, but like if you're comparing Dylan Brooks versus Kawhi and James Harden, like stop even talking to me. But Jalen Green balled out. And if I was to say to you in pregame, if Jalen Green's going to score 29 points, are we going to win without Kawhi and James? I would have said, hell no, we're not going to win. And so it is what it is. I would just tell people to slow down if you want to overreact over this game. Go back to the Utah and Miami game and talk about that. But we're 3-5 through 8 games. However, there were some good things to take away from this game. I'm going to be talking about those coming up. I got to tell you a little something about DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% of your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. So next time someone goes off for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only. 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. It ends April 13th. Open at U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. All right, Clipper Nation. I just want to say, before I continue, I am trying to calm people down because I just don't think this game is the one to be freaking out about, as I said. But if you're disappointed with the start to the season, you have every single right to feel the way that you do. As I've said, I talk about this more on my Dime Dropper channel where I get a little more personal, but I gave up on this era of Clipper basketball in terms of winning a championship like 3 years ago. So like I'm untouched. Like I don't care anymore. Like in terms of the wins and life, of course I care, but like at the end of the day, I have a business. I run my own teams. I build my own culture. Like I had to make lifestyle changes, people, because I was so invested in this stuff. And I'm not telling anyone else that you need to do the same as me. If you're invested, I love that for you because I share that passion for this team. But my feelings of living and dying with every loss are on hiatus till this era is done because it's just a waste of my energy to believe that these guys are going to win a championship. We're freaking old, man. We're freaking old. I'm just enjoying the ride. The fact that I get the blessing to talk to you after a game, win or lose, and represent this fan base that I love with every single fiber of my being. So I love all of you that are listening. Trust me. Except for the haters. You can go, the stands. I can't wait for you to leave. But all the Clipper fans, like I love you. Like I really do. So let's talk about some of the good things that we saw in this game. Ivica Zubac, I've been very critical of him the last couple of games, but this reminded us that he is still a dude. 23 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. He did turn the ball over twice, but he shot 8 for 14 from the field and 7 for 8 from 3 in 27 minutes. 23 and 11 to go along with 2 steals in 27 minutes. What was the change? Very blatant. More intention about getting him the ball. He couldn't do it all by himself. We still could have even gone to him more. But you know one thing we need to do a better job of? When he's getting doubled in the post, the guy in the weak side corner, if their man is blatantly doubling or sitting in the paint, they have to cut. Because if there's a guy on the weak side wing and on the weak side corner, one guy can take both away. So that pass, when it's in the air, the NBA players with their length and athleticism can intercept that pass. It's not like Zoo's throwing dots like Jokic from the post. So they need to cut and make that pass easier for Zoo. But there's a real, and this is not just a Clipper thing, it's an NBA in 2025 thing, a modern NBA flaw in players now is there's no spontaneous cutting. The good teams do it, certain players do it, but it's just because everybody wants to space. But there's a time to space, and not cut, and there's a time to cut. And the Clippers have not done a good enough job of cutting when Zoo gets double teamed. They're just standing in the corner, and it makes it hard for Zoo to throw a cross-court skip pass from the left block all the way to the right corner. It just is. So there's a real lack of cutting in the NBA today. It's not just a Clipper thing. It's really not. If you watch other teams enough, you'll see it. However, I'm very encouraged by how much better Zoo looked. And this is a reflection of in my opinion, it's not the, I guess you can say a little bit of the coaching staff, but it's on James and Kawhi. Zoo's good, man. Throw him the damn ball. I'm going to blame James more than Kawhi. He's the point guard. He's this Mr. System that's supposed to know everything. His fans think he's freaking Magic Johnson. They think he's the smartest goddamn player to ever play the game. No, he's not. He's very good though. But he gets too invested in his own thing, which is like pick and roll and creating good shots for everybody, in my opinion. But like, just dump it down and go space just be a role player for some possessions, dude. That's my opinion. Because I'm not going to tell Kawhi to stop shooting. Like, I'm just not going to do that. Whether I'm his coach or I'm a fan, I'm not going to tell Kawhi Leonard to stop shooting the ball. He needs to shoot the ball. That's why he's getting paid $50 million. That's why he's a Finals MVP twice. The coaching staff should take some accountability with the Zoo thing. But you see that when the opportunity presents itself, he can get the ball. And Zoo doesn't get a pass either. I've talked about this. He doesn't get a pass. He needs to do that even with Harden on the floor. He does. But like Chris Dunn doesn't have the offense that James does, so he's dumping him the ball. James needs to change that, in my opinion, because he's the one that helped out Zoo, and he made sure he talked about how much he helped Zoo. Oh, of course he got a career year with me. Then why don't you pass him the ball in the post now that Kawhi's back? So now that Kawhi's back, you're just passing. You're not going to include Zoo the same way. It's going to be only Zoo scoring off pick and rolls. Teams are smart enough to know now that after we saw last season that, oh, if I take away Zoo on the roll, we're going to make James Harden pass it to one of these shooters. I think it comes down to James first when it comes to the Zoo thing, and then Zoo himself, and then Ty, in my opinion. Because, again, I saw Zoo try to post up on Norman Powell late in that game against Miami, and James tried to ISO against Bam Adebayo, one of the best defenders in basketball. Like, that was insane for him to do that, in my opinion. But, again, I already know you Harden stands going to cry in the comments. I don't give a shit what you think. Sorry to cuss. I don't give a damn. Because it's the truth, in my opinion. I see it everywhere he goes. He wants to be the guy that makes the play. Too much, in my opinion. I'm not saying he never defers. He's actually a fantastic entry passer, too. But we have gone so far away from passing Zoo the ball. And I think, again, the coaching staff needs to take some accountability, too, and so does Zoo. It's not just James Harden. I'm not going to target him. But all I know is without him and without Kawhi, now we made it. And look, we lost, but it's not because of Zoo that we lost. It's not. He played well tonight on Thursday night. Now, here's another player I thought did some good things. And by the way, Zoo had 10 and 6 in the first, right? Beal was looking aggressive early too, but he wasn't hitting. He was 1 for 5 in the first. I thought Bogey gave us some solid minutes when he first came in. 5 points, a dime. One of them was a step back three, but he took some bad step back threes after that. Some bad shots. He ended up shooting 3 for 8 from the field and 2 for 6 from 3, but he was 4 for 4 from the line, and he had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, and just 1 turnover. So there's no doubt in these first couple of games, Bogey over Chris Paul right now in the rotation. When everybody gets back, I think Chris Paul is the 11th man. Bogey's 10th, or even 9th, because I'm going to talk about Nico too. And I love Nico, but we got something to say about him. You know who else really impressed me? Cam Christie. Cam Christie is an NBA player. He is. By the way, we went on an 8-0 run in the second quarter to make it 37-33 when Green and Booker were on the bench. 5 straight Derrick Jones Jr. points. One was an open 3. One was a nice dunk. Had another 10-3 run to make it 47-40. And then Jalen Green responded with an 8-0 run where he really led that. And he had 16 points at halftime. But I thought overall it was a great first half. And then in the fourth quarter, we made a little bit of a run, had a 13-1 run to make it 92-105. But Cam Christie, I just love how aggressive he can be, like letting it fly, attacking closeouts. He finishes well around the rim. And we saw a lot of that at Summer League where he was starting to get to the basket more, trying to attack closeouts, trying to finish through contact. He's an NBA player. And there's a large part of me on the inside that's like, bruh, let's just like ditch one of the old dudes and just play Cam Christie. But they're not going to do that. because it's a win now team. They don't believe in that development stuff. I don't think, unless, it'd be crazy to see Cam Christie get Nico out of the rotation or something, but I still think Nico will be okay long term. He's just not playing well right now. And is it his last year? I don't know. Maybe it should be. He's not giving me enough right now. Nico in this game started, by the way, and had a donut, 2 rebounds, 1 assist on 0 for 3 shooting, and he's shooting horrifically so far this season. So he needs to start making shots, but I really think he will eventually. Like, I'm not going to take Nico out of the rotation entirely. I think when you get a good Nico, it's too valuable. But there's a part of me as a Clipper fan that's like, dude, forget the old guys. Let's just play Zubac, Yannick, and freaking Cam Christie. But we don't have enough young guys. We'd have to get more in trades and stuff like that. But Cam Christie is a hooper, and he's an NBA player. Kobe Brown, on the other hand, he got the minutes that Chris Paul was supposed to get in the second half. There's still not one, and I like Kobe Brown. I got to meet him in Vegas. He's a good dude, but there's just not one thing that is an NBA level talent for him, in my opinion. Every time he comes in, he bricks a bunch of open shots. He had 7 rebounds in this game in 16 minutes, 2 assists, but 0 for 2, 0 for 1 from 3, doesn't play make, doesn't really defend very well. There's nothing there. Whereas Cam Christie, 17 points, 2 boards, 3 dimes, 1 steal, 0 turnovers on 5 for 7 shooting, 2 for 3 from deep, 5 for 7 from the free throw line in 25 minutes. And he was a plus 13. Cam Christie, and he got real rotation minutes. For those that didn't watch the game, he actually played real rotation minutes. It wasn't just garbage time. So the good news, Zubac is still a good player. We just need to look for him more even when Harden and Kawhi are back. And Cam Christie, hold on to him, Lawrence Frank, please, because when this era is over, he needs to have the shackles taken off because that guy's an NBA player. But coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about Ty's decisions. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And when we're talking about FanDuel, the odds right now, we got a lot of games on Friday, but the Thunder, there's a tab right now in the NBA betting odds. The Thunder 74, to break the NBA record of wins, they're plus 2,800. I don't know if you guys want to bet on that. And then you've got the Boston Celtics to make the playoffs. Minus 180 says yes, plus 134 says no. For the Clippers right now, let's see where we're at with that. I don't even see us, honestly. I don't think anybody's picking against us, but for some reason, I don't see the Clippers on there. NBA Cup, Thunder plus 210, everything you can think of. Points per game leader, SGA is the favorite for that right now. So where can you go to bet on all this fun stuff? Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I'm going to tell you a little something about Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right. So, obviously, I thought we did a really good job of getting Zoo involved in that first quarter. The matchups to start the game, we had Chris Dunn on Jalen Green, Zoo on Mark Williams, Nico on Royce O'Neal, Derek Jones on Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal on Grayson Allen. And then Booker on Chris Dunn, Jalen Green on Derek Jones Jr., Mark Williams on Ivica Zubac, Grayson Allen on Brad Beal, and Royce O'Neal on Nico Batum. Zoo was in drop coverage. Mark Williams was in drop coverage. Oso was in drop coverage, and so was Brook Lopez. So basically drop coverage all the way around. Talked about Jalen Green and Devin Booker getting going in that first quarter, but I thought, after the first, we were down only 4 points, 31-27. I'll tell you one thing that's been a problem for us this season, though, in a second. Chris Paul, second quarter, finally hit a two-pointer. Finally. That mid-range. But Chris Paul in 10 minutes of play in the first half, he had 2 points on that mid-range I just talked about, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and no turnovers. He was 1 for 3 from the field with his only misses being threes, although one of them was the end of the first quarter three-pointer. And he was +4. I don't understand why he didn't play in the second half. Like, I've been saying we should take him out of the rotation when everyone's healthy, but I also said before this game, if we're going to win without James Harden, we're going to need a good Chris Paul game. And we were actually getting a decent one, and then Ty just didn't play him in the second half. Like, I get Phoenix is young and athletic. They got guys like Ryan Dunn, even Grayson Allen, Oso, like they're Mark Williams, Jalen Green, like they've gotten a lot younger and more athletic, and they're more athletic than we are. But like Chris was not playing that bad in this game. I don't understand. Ty's decision to play Kobe Brown over him out of nowhere. We needed more shot creation. I know he's not been creating shots this season, but he got to his mid-range in that first quarter. In that first half. It was just strange. Just very strange, like a decision to not play him in the second half when he was not playing badly in this game, in my opinion. If somebody else saw something different with that, let me know. But it was a talking point. Now, as far as Brook Lopez, I thought he was fine. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 turnovers on 3 for 6 shooting, and was 0 for 3 from deep. See, we didn't make our threes, right? That's going to hurt us when the Suns are shooting like that. We actually shot a very similar percentage to them overall. We shot 44% from the field. They shot 45% from the field, but they shot 39% from 3, and we shot 32% from 3, 10 for 31. And why is it? It's not just a make or miss league. They had their best players outside of Dylan Brooks, and we were missing our 2 best players. It happens sometimes. That affects shot creation. That affects shot making. So it's normal. And we're gonna need a better shooting game from guys like Brad, as I said. But we needed more Chris Paul. I don't understand why we didn't play him in this game, in the second half. Brook Lopez, 0 for 3 from deep. He hasn't been very good to start this season. He wasn't in the preseason. He was lights out. He hasn't been great. But here's the thing. Maybe we overestimated Brook Lopez a little bit. Is he an upgrade over Mo Bamba from last year? Unequivocally. We need more from other guys. And as far as the second quarter, as I said, Richards, by the way, Nick Richards, he was switching 1 through 5. There was one time we got the ball to Brook on a mismatch there. I think Chris Paul, that was one of his assists, where he threw the ball to him and he hit a jump hook in the middle of the key, Brook Lopez. But I thought it was a great first half. And then, as I said, we started turning the ball over. They were hitting threes. We weren't hitting anymore. And Nico Batum, he had a stretch where he didn't hit a 3 wide open, and then he just got trucked by Grayson Allen. I was like, what? How did Grayson Allen just move Nico Batum like that? So Nico, and this begins with, now we're going to get to Ty's stuff, right? Why is Nico starting over John Collins? Like, Nico played 18 minutes and was a -14. John Collins played 23 minutes and he had 13 points, 4 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, and 4 turnovers, however, on 5 for 11 shooting, 2 for 3 from deep, and 1 for 3 from the foul line. He was a -6. Now, let me say this about John Collins. He's consistently had double-digit scoring games. Every game he's played this season, he's been in double figures, except for the Warriors game. However, he hasn't gone more than 28 minutes in any game. He's shooting a very solid percentage going into this game. Oh, no, they counted this game now. He's averaging 55, 42, 71 splits right now. There's no real reason why he shouldn't be starting a game like this. It's the only thing I'll say is this. He did have 4 turnovers all in the second half, and we're leading the league in turnovers right now. One of them was BS, though. He went for an offensive rebound and his foot was out of bounds, so I'm not going to blame him for that because he's trying to get an offensive rebound. It just so happened that his foot was out of bounds. But one of them, he just didn't see Bogey, that he should have made an extra pass. He just didn't see him, and he tried to do a spin move and lost the ball. Another one, he just made a bad pass, and I'm learning that John Collins is not a good passer. We're seeing that now that he's on our team every night. Okay. And then another one, he just kind of didn't see Booker behind him and just got stripped because he just wasn't aware of what was going on around him. So the only thing I'll say is we're turning the ball over too much, and John Collins is actually second on our team in turnovers. So he needs to do a much better job taking care of the ball, especially with how little he really handles it. However, he should still be playing more. He's been one of our brighter spots this season. He's getting paid $26 million. We traded Norman Powell for the guy. Nico Batum should not be playing starting over Collins. I don't care what your reasoning is. And then here's where I have a problem. So the Chris Paul decision was suspect by Ty tonight or on Thursday night. And then John Collins not playing 30 minutes was also suspect. Beal still being on a minutes restriction is probably not Ty's call. But, Law Murray, our good friend, asked John Collins about, everybody knows about the 10 to 15 game, tinkering sample size. And John Collins even said, yeah, the 10 to 15, as if it's a known thing. I'm tired of that whole, Ty Lue needs to, see if it works. And then when he sees it doesn't work, he's going to change things up. He needs that sample size. It's dude, Ty Lue is a good coach, but he's not some freaking mastermind genius that has this incredible system that if 10 to 15 games, he figures it out and then everything changes. Give me a break, dude. This lackadaisical, just blowing games in the beginning of the season just for your confirmation, for your data. It's bruh, goodbye top 3 seed and goodbye championship. If this is the last season Ty Lue coaches for this team, I'm okay with it. Because I'm just tired of his lax approach. But I'm not calling for his head at all. I still think Ty's a good coach. And I think all the people that criticize him say a lot of the same recycled BS that every other fan base says, and they've never coached a youth basketball game or even an AAU basketball game or a high school level basketball game or a middle school level basketball game in their lives. In their lives. You see the same recycled BS. The thing is, people say I don't hold the coach accountable. That's nonsense. I'm holding him accountable right now. The John Collins stuff is ridiculous. It needs to stop. He needs to play more. The 10 to 15 game stuff is just a way of saying, we're going to allow ourselves to lose and not have any urgency, and then we'll change shit up. That's not going to work. That's not. If you want to be a top 3 seed, it's not. If you want to just be good at the end of the season, fine. Where has that gotten us? Eliminated every single year. But my issue is people blame him more than the players, and that's a problem for me. It's not Ty Lue's fault that people aren't cutting in the basket when Zoo's getting double teamed. It's not Ty Lue's fault that Ivica Zubac isn't getting fed in the post every time, although it is a little bit. It's not Ty's fault that we're turning the ball over left and right. It's not. You got to hold the players more accountable. Chris Paul's been, besides this game, terrible. Brook Lopez has been underwhelming. Zubac has been terrible for his standards. And then, yes, the John Collins thing is relevant. But if we're really thinking about it, before this game, there were 2 games that we should have won. That's it. The other one, the results were what we expected. James Harden got tired in a game. That wasn't Ty Lue's fault. But it's the Utah game. And if you want to blame the Utah game on Ty Lue, you're just an excuse-making loser, in my opinion. Because if you're not excited and ready for the first game of your season, you don't deserve to be in this league. And that was a complete red flag, Clipper Nation. I'm telling y'all. To come out against Utah in the first game of the season and with this anticipation of this team and play like that and get smacked all over the floor, that was an embarrassment. That said a lot about this team's urgency. And Ty, after the game, he's just we're just working Beal back into the swing of things. And Beal's I'm just getting warm. It's dude, the season began. We're 8 games in already. The best record we can get through 10 games is 5-5. It's only going to get harder after. And who knows if Kawhi's even going to play next game. This team, it is what it is, man. They want to show lack of urgency, fine. I just hope this is the last year we see this shit. By the way, I've dropped way too many SH bombs in this episode. I'm sorry for all the people listening and the kids and stuff. I need to chill with that. I'm sorry. But it's frustration. And at the end of the day, people will say whatever they want about my opinions, but I get mad because I love this team. And I'm passionate about it. And I love my other Locked On hosts. We got 29 amazing, well, more than 29 because there's some shows with 2 people that run it. But some of them aren't even fans of their own squad, guys. I'm a diehard. I love this team. So it hurts. I just don't like that the lack of urgency to start a season, man. It's ridiculous. But whatever. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeJumperPod. I'll probably go live in the morning to talk about this game more with my subscribers. So if you want to check that out, come tune in. Maybe in I don't know, afternoon, 2:00 Pacific. And of course, you can follow this podcast, Locked On Clippers, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell on the road to 8,000 subscribers before the end of November. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. I'll see y'all on Saturday against the Suns again.